Welcome to Greenleaf Garden Center. My name is Joe, and today I'm going to show you some basics of brewing compost tea for your garden. So why would you brew compost tea? Basically, compost tea is going to help get that symbiotic relationship in your rhizosphere between the plant and all the microbiology you find in the soil. If you were to go out into the woods and dig a small hole in the soil, you'd probably find a bunch of root webbage. That's just basically your mycorrhizal fungi, other bacteria. There's a lot of different things going on in the soil. So compost tea helps you achieve that and keep that in your soil throughout your garden. So compost teas basically are comprised of two main elements. You're going to want some kind of compost, and also worm castings will really help boost that as well. Other elements to turn it more into a fertilizing potion are completely optional, but totally not necessary. So I'm just going to show you some more basic recipes, ways to brew your teas in a 5-gallon bucket or larger reservoirs, and some techniques to achieve that and get it done. In the typical compost tea, you're going to have some compost. So here we have a fruit and vegetable compost from Vital Earth Garden Supply. It's a very clean compost, no animal byproducts, so it's just a good clean base to start with. We also have their mega worm castings that we'd put in there. And a lot of the other elements here are optional. You can literally do a compost tea with just compost or compost and worm castings. To move on to how you would do this, we're going to show you a simple setup with a 5-gallon bucket, a couple of parts that you can get at your hydroponics store, an air pump, and a compost tea bag, which is also optional but keeps your water a little cleaner. So in either situation, you're going to be using an air pump. So just real quick, we'll bust this guy open. You got your air pump. Should come with a brass nozzle. That guy on there. Okay, so the first technique that you'd use would be with a tea bag and some kind of air stone. We have an air diffuser ring here that fits real nice in the bottom of a bucket. It's got suction cups on it so it stays at the bottom. Basically, we put that in there, fill it with water. Do this first, of course. Hook this up to your air pump, and then you would fill up your tea bag with your compost, your worm castings. Typically for 5 gallons of water, you wouldn't need more than a couple cups of compost and maybe a cup of worm castings. Fill that up, tie it up, and you can suspend it with a piece of bamboo or something in your water. And then basically that will just bubble, and you can brew that for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours depending on the water temperature, and then water your plants with the tea that you have just made. Another way to do it, there's a little device called the bubbulator. So this requires a little bit of assembly. You're going to need some T's and some elbows to put it together. Typically PVC works better, but we don't have the PVC at the shop here, so I just used nylon tubing and some hydroponic fittings. So basically what happens with this is you put that inside. Plug it into your air pump. Yeah, doggy. what I'm talking about right there. We have air going from the air pump into the tube, down into the water, and forcing the water back up again. And the advantage of doing this over the air stone is that it's keeping the surface area of the water broken, and all the water in the bucket is being recirculated. Air stone doesn't always quite move all the water around in there, so this will help keep your brew from going anaerobic and just get the best brew that you can. It's really simple to set up. You can put it all together for under $15. The pump will probably run you about $35 or $40, but you can use it constantly, literally for any kind of plant. Ideally, it would be nice to have a bungee cord holding this on here. Just have a bungee cord for that. If you want to avoid the splash, you could probably hook an additional tube up to this or make it not rise as high into the bucket. You'll find a variety of compost tea recipes online or from your friends, so depending on what you're trying to achieve, there's probably a different recipe for everyone out there. From the basics to the more complicated ones that add a little bit of fertilizer in there. Some things that I like to use and we use around the shop would be the Cyto Plus. Cyto Plus has the humic acid soluble seaweed and a lot of micronutrients, so it takes care of a lot of things at once. Glacial rock dust is another good one to put in there. Some people like to use molasses. Others prefer to use some kind of fish emulsion or fish hydrolysate, which you'd use right before using the tea with your plants, not during the brew. Oyster shell, alfalfa meal, crab meal. These are all things that you probably could use in a tea just to spice it up a little bit. That about wraps it up for our introduction to compost teas at Greenleaf Garden Center. Come see us for some great recipes and everything else you'll need to get your compost tea going in your garden. Thanks.